right, and there she goes. Thanks again, Chris. What is up, everybody? This is Brian over here at Ken Wilson Ford. Normally I would say in Canton, North Carolina, but today I'm actually standing in a suburb of Denver, Colorado. If you're coming here for my last video, as you know, I just finished up a delivery of a 2020 F-350 Limited to my customer Chris, who actually lives out in Wyoming. And again, huge thank you to Chris for letting me work for him and bring the truck out and do everything. But now to kind of catalog the second half of my trip, I will be taking Chris's old truck, which is an F-250 2017 Platinum, still a very nice truck, back to North Carolina. So the big difference with this truck, though, is this truck is actually modified. So let's just kind of walk around. I'll show you this truck. All right, so like I said, this is a 2017 Platinum, which is the next step down from the Limited. For the most part, you know, appearances look pretty normal. Obviously, we've got a larger bumper up there on the front, and it looks like we might have one step up size on the tires, but everything looks and sounds pretty normal, right? Unless you're looking at that exhaust pipe right there. The big difference here, again, outside of this massive, looks like an actual steel cattle guard, is what we're gonna find up in here. Check that out. So this has a compound turbo setup. I'm not sure what size turbo this is, but as you can see, it is freaking massive. It is a precision turbo. Looks like it's got the whole entire kit here. So that is a secondary turbo that matches up there with the original Ford turbo. And then if I'm not mistaken, this truck has had some work done under here with the exhaust. Yep, that appears to be the case. I'll let you fill in the blanks on probably what's different there. But this is gonna be a fun truck to drive back. The only hard part is going to be keeping my foot out of the throttle. I've been told that this thing will actually roll a little bit of coal if I want it to, and it's definitely quick. So let's just get on the road. All right, so I haven't even left the parking lot yet, and I can already tell this is going to be a wild ride home. Let me show you what I mean. So apparently I'm gonna be one of these guys going home. God help me. All right, so really the first time I've actually stopped on this whole entire trip out here and back is pretty much right now. I've pretty much only been stopping off the interstate, but I honestly love Denver so much, and it's been so long since I've been here that I could not miss the opportunity to come through town and check out the courthouse, just kind of cruise through town, maybe grab some lunch and stuff. And right behind me is the main courthouse, and this is made famous for the Mile High Step, which unfortunately you can't get access to because I guess, I don't know if it's because of remodeling or because of COVID or what, but they've got all the fencing and stuff up. But what is kind of neat is there's actually some, not a huge demonstration, but there's a little bit of a protesting or support going on. And I figured, since I saw the plywood over that, I figured it was like a Confederate monument or something like that was covered up, because they've done the same thing in Asheville, and it probably is. But the people that are out here today are actually supporting Belarus, and that's actually really cool because you know, obviously there's been a lot going on in the news there with the different, I guess you can say, the drama they've got going on with the elections going on there, and the fact that they're probably dishonest, and they've got, you know, another the same dictator voted in for, I think, like 26 or 28 years or something like that now. So it's kind of cool to see a different kind of a presentation or demonstration out here than I'm normally used to seeing this time of year. So yeah, let's just go ahead and hang out the rest of town. And as I'm right here in the center of town, here's just kind of a nice little pan of the downtown, or maybe the uptown area. I'm not sure what building that is straight ahead. Maybe that's another court building or courthouse or something like that. But downtown Denver is just so cool. I'm gonna walk over there. There's kind of, I think, the art museum, stuff like that, which I'm not going in, but it's just got some cool buildings. So as I'm walking around, I'm headed down to go down to check out what I think is the art museum or something like that. And I'm noticing that there's a lot of these fences and boarded up windows like everywhere. And now I remember why. I have not been following the BLM protests in every city, but I imagine maybe they got bad here or they were afraid they were going to get bad here. And that would explain why there's all the fencing and all the boarded up windows, especially with the government buildings. So that actually answers my question why I couldn't get on the staircase for the Denver courthouse. Yep, this is definitely the art museum. How can you always tell when you're at an art museum? When there's just weird art outside the building. That looks like some sort of a wire brush and a pan. Very interesting. But I will say, this area over here is really cool looking. I don't know what the heck this is. It says some sort of a welcome center, but it looks like it's closed and maybe emptied out. Really cool looking building. And then I have no clue what this is here. It says the Red Chair Bookshop is one of the signs on there. And as we look over there, I'm guessing maybe that's a church or something. There's some really interesting architecture there. Almost looks like a castle. But the art museum is a cool looking building. And here's that park that we saw from over there from the Capitol building. Some sort of a really nice botanical garden. There's a ton of different wildflowers. I mean, all kinds of different things over here. It's really neat. And then you've got whatever this building is here, which I probably should look it up before I put the camera on. Then you've got these really interesting little, looks like Greco things over here, and then the same thing over there. So I'll walk over to the one on the left and check it out. All right, here's the rest of the park and those archways. There's these really cool statues. Looks like on both sides. This one, you've got some Native American heritage, and then you've got some Western kind of cowboy heritage. And then back here is the other, I don't know what these things are. It's like an amphitheater. There's all these X's all over the pavement. Like maybe they had some sort of a speech or something here, and I don't know, maybe they wanted to have people stand in these squares at social distance. I'm not really sure, but it is kind of cool. You can see all the way through there. You can see there's the Museum of Art, and there's that weird, whatever that building is, looks like a modern day castle. Pretty cool though. All right, so I think that's just gonna about do it for me for downtown Denver for now. I am gonna go find some place to grab lunch, probably on 16th Ave or something like that. But it's been cool to check out the parks and stuff downtown. It's been a long time since I've been here. Unfortunately, there's a lot more homeless people and stuff like that than I remember before. This whole entire park, almost everybody behind me, unfortunately, looks like a homeless camp or something like that. So it's kind of heartbreaking. It does kind of remind me a lot of Asheville in that sense, but you know, maybe they choose to live that life because I know there's a lot of people that do it voluntarily and not just because of their situation. So I mean, I hope everybody is, you know, doing well and staying safe out here, but I'm gonna go grab some lunch now. All right, here's my Chariot. Does not fit in very well in town here, that is for sure. Big black truck with a cattle guard. Looks a little off in downtown Denver. All right, so now I'm checking out the 16th Street Mall, which is definitely a far cry from how it would normally be, you know, 6 months ago or a year ago for sure. Still some activity here, still a little bit of street vendors going on, a little bit of music, but not a whole lot. I'll show you what I mean. So this whole stretch is the 16th Street Mall, and normally all these sidewalks are usually slam full of people, slam full of food trucks and vendors and hot dog stands and all kinds of stuff. And honestly, I'm having a hard time even finding regular restaurants that are open. I'm probably gonna go down to Smash Burger here and get some lunch. This is the closest I've actually found to any sense of normalcy. And that's just this small selection of vendors with all kinds of arts and crafts, and there's some t-shirts and jewelry and a random guy that sells gutter guards, which doesn't really fit in here. There's some neat stuff through here. I might actually pick up a couple souvenirs or something like that for the family. At least nice to see some stuff out here. All right, so we are back on the road. Been on the road for maybe just an hour or so, just kind of getting started. And You know, we're not in Kansas yet, but we're in the plains outside of Denver, moving into Kansas. And this is the part of the drive that I missed last night because it was so late when I was driving in. So I figured I would share it with y'all. And this is what it looks like. Honestly, it's not that impressive. It is cool, honestly, for a little bit, because everything is just that kind of wheat or that grain colored orange. You know, everything is just very dusty. I wouldn't call it a desert or anything like that, because there's tons of little grassy vegetation and stuff like that. But it is just so flat. I mean, you can see there's tiny little hills and stuff like that. And it is pretty. If this were all green, it would be prettier, that's for sure. But I really don't mind missing this part of the drive with it being at nighttime. The only thing that I do miss is when you're actually driving in, you can see the mountains off in the distance, and that was obviously a missed opportunity, and it's still a missed opportunity today because we're obviously driving away and we're not going to see mountains until we get back into Tennessee, really. So, what are my thoughts so far spending time in the 2017 versus the 2020? Honestly, they are, oh gosh, this road is so bumpy. They are very familiar, but also very different trucks. And obviously this one's modified, which you know, makes that difference more significant. But I would definitely say the biggest differences are the fact that, you know, this truck being a 2017 does not have the 10-speed transmission like the 2020 does. And I am feeling that already in the gas tank. I just filled up right when I was leaving town, and I was averaging about 20 miles per gallon in the 2020 truck with the 10-speed transmission. And with this truck with the 6-speed transmission, and technically this is, you know, it's got a compound turbo, and it's had the DPF and exhaust delete. So it's got a little bit of a tune going on with it. I can hear the turbo making noises from time to time. So I'm sure I'm using more fuel, but it looks like I'm going to be hovering right around like the 15 miles per gallon range. So I'm definitely going to be, you know, sucking fuel down the whole way back. So that's going to be kind of an expensive fuel bill by the time I get back. But overall, the truck rides well. Obviously, going from a 350 to a 250, there is a ride difference there. The 350 is a much stiffer chassis. It has much stiffer suspension. It's meant to have a higher payload with more towing capacity, and you feel all of that when you're driving it down the road. I wouldn't say it's overly stiff or anything like that, but you're definitely still driving, you know, a truck. You're driving a truck that's meant to be able to tow, you know, 18,000 pounds plus, depending on, you know, how you set it up, of course. So it's going to be stiff. Now, this one, with it being a 250, is a little bit different, and the previous owner to this truck, he actually put some Cooper tires on here, and they're a little bit of an off-road tread pattern with a softer sidewall, and this one might have different struts. It could just be the FX4 package, and there's just the red boots on the shocks kind of throwing me off, but this definitely rides smoother suspension-wise going down the road than the 2020 did. It's just a stiffer truck, you know, harder tires. You know, they're almost a commercial grade tire, so they're going to be a lot stiffer. This truck with the large bumper on the front, unfortunately, the sensors that you would have up there for your adaptive cruise control, as well as your collision avoidance and things like that, end up getting bypassed when you go with a big bumper like that. You can apparently cut in and move those sensors into place, but then it's, you know, I guess kind of a pain to get them calibrated and make sure everything works. So the front camera also kind of takes a little bit of a hit with that, because really all you see out of the front camera, and I might have to show you guys when I'm not driving, but you can still see out the front camera, which is mounted on the grill, but you're looking through the grill of the push bar. So your field of view is like super tiny. It takes, you know, field of view like this and just narrows it down. And obviously with the 360 camera, it doesn't know how to patch in that image with the rest of it. So you end up just having this, basically a grill on the front of the 360 camera where you'd normally be able to see, you know, what's going on around you. So that's kind of funny. Just a couple things of having, you know, I guess a modified truck, especially with that big, you know, cattle guard on the front of it there. but it's smooth. I mean, I still have seat massages, I still have good AC, I still have a sunroof. You know, I am gonna miss the adaptive cruise. That made my trip out here super easy. Not everybody likes it, but I love it. As somebody that likes to drive on the road, it just takes kind of the legwork. Literally, it takes the legwork out of road trips. So I will miss that. This doesn't have the Bang & Olufsen, the B&O stereo. This does have the Sony stereo though, and honestly, it sounds good. There's definitely more of a surround sound sound perspective, I guess, with the 2020 truck that is lacking from here. But as far as the sound quality, and the bass is good. So honestly, while there is a difference, it's not a huge upgrade for me. I think the stereo sounds good in either one. It's obviously nicer with the B&O, but it sounds just as good here in the Limited. But so yeah, things are going well. It is funny, I can tell just very subtle differences with just a couple of the textures, and the software on the Sync 3 screen is a little bit more up to date in the 2020 than it is here in the 2017. The fonts are a little bit different, and maybe that's something that can be configured. It's not a problem, it just obviously looks a little bit differently. But Apple CarPlay still works the same. I was able to plug my phone right up and get it working just fine. So yeah, my plan today, since I actually spent probably about 4 or 5 hours in Denver, bought some shoes because I needed some shoes for work. Mine were all wore out. So I did some shopping. I got a burger downtown. Obviously I checked out all those different areas. So that took up a good chunk of my day. So really today I'm probably just going to drive 5 or 6 hours, since I drove 15 hours or something like that yesterday. So I'm just going to go for a shorter drive today, and then I might stretch my legs out tomorrow and see how much driving I can get done tomorrow. And then if I don't make it all the way back to North Carolina, I'll stay at another hotel and just get back during the work day on Tuesday. So let's get back to driving. All right, so it's getting pretty late. I'm out in the middle of nowhere outside of Kansas, and I'm in obviously the 17 F-250, which is not getting the same kind of fuel economy that I was getting in the 2020 with the 10-speed, which is to be expected. I knew that. I factored that into this, but I feel pretty smart right now. I have found a way to engineer better fuel economy, and I feel like Ford knew this when they put this feature in, because this is something they could have locked out, but they did not. And let me show you what my hypermiling trick is. Oh yeah, get ready for it. Maximum fuel economy, engage. Now, to be perfectly fair, there is absolutely no traffic in front of me and absolutely no traffic behind me. So I really don't need the side view mirrors for the next probably 100 miles or so. I'll just pay attention to the rear view mirror, and if there's traffic that comes up and I need them, then I'll open them up. Otherwise, I'll close them down for a little bit and see if I can pick up, I don't know, a tenth, maybe half a mile per gallon here. Right now we're hovering right around 15 miles per gallon. We're actually at 15.2 miles per gallon, and my target was 16 miles per gallon. And I'm trying everything in my power to keep my right foot out of it and just let cruise control do everything. So I'm hoping that maybe if I open up the sunroof, crack the windows, turn the AC off, fold my mirrors in, I might be able to hit that 16 number by the time I hit the hotel tonight. We'll see. Hello, Kansas City. I'll have to stop here sometime. I've heard it's a really cool town to visit. That old warehouse there. We're going to cross over the railroad tracks. And then it's interesting because the town, the actual city, is kind of somewhat built up on the top of this hill here. It means you're kind of looking down on everything else, which is kind of neat. Yeah, I definitely need to stop in here sometime. Look at this. What in the world? What is going on here? Look at all these freaking crazy lights. In case you couldn't tell, this is day 2. I stayed in Topeka last night. The plan is to make it into Tennessee and probably stay there tonight and then get back home in the morning. All right, so I am in Forrestal, Missouri. I am about, I think, 30 minutes or something like that outside of St. Louis. And a couple things. First off is this fuel station has a drink that I have not had in freaking years. I hadn't even really seen it before in a long time. I don't know if anybody remembers Surge, but this was kind of like a weird, like Mountain Dew / Sprite knockoff or something. This was cold, so let's just see if it's as good as I remember. Yeah, it's pretty good. It tastes a lot like Mountain Dew, actually. So that is the first update. The second update is we might actually have some truck problems. I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to be difficult for me to fix, but we'll find out here. Let's take a look. All right, so first off, you can see the power running board isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And if we get inside here, let's see if it'll do anything. No juice. So I've got the hood popped, and we are good on the negative terminal here, but the positive cable has a lot of movement there, and this bolt is not tied down at all. So you can see it's sparking. Let's see if we've got any juice. Nope. So thankfully I've got my tools with me, at least just a little handset. So I'm just going to tighten down that battery cable and assume that's the problem, and if that doesn't fix it, we may have to pop a battery in it. I actually noticed when I was looking at this battery when I first opened the truck up and stuff, it looks like it's a few years old, so it's very possible if that cable has not been tight and that battery is old, it could definitely have added some extra wear and tear on that battery. So I'm going to cross my fingers that all I've got to do is just tighten it up and we'll be back on the road, because it's been driving great up to literally right this second. So I'm sure any battery or just a tightened cable should get us done. So let me fix that and I'll have an update here. All right, so I've got the cable tightened down, and because there's a little bit of corrosion on it, I'm actually going to try to use just a little bit of my soda. I think that soda, well, usually like Coca-Cola and stuff, these have like carbonic acid in them, and I think that will do a little bit to maybe eat off some of that crud. So let's just pour a little bit on that terminal there. See if that helps us out. Let's go and see if we can start it. Moment of truth. Hey, we're back. Thank God that's all that it was. All right, folks, that's why I always say, I think I did a road trip video like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago about checking stuff, and stupid stuff like checking your battery cables is an easy thing that can get messed up. And I'm surprised with as loose as that was. I hadn't had issues yet up to this point, but we seem to be good to go. I think I might have reset some stuff, which is all right, but yeah, let's go ahead and hit the road. Actually, before I hit the road, I want to give you all a fuel economy update. So I am still getting right about 15 miles per gallon. Literally, when I pulled into the gas station, it was 15.0 on the dashboard. And when I did the paperwork on my receipts and checked my mileage, it was also confirmed to be right at 15 miles per gallon. So that's 2 tanks now that I've gotten exactly 15 miles per gallon. And what I can actually say, the good news about this tank is, I was actually cruising, you know, most of the time, if I had my cruise control set, I was usually hammering down right around like 80. And before, in the 2020 truck, that seemed to kind of have a negative effect on the fuel economy. So I was pretty shocked that here I was able to keep right around the 50 or 15 miles per gallon, even with a higher speed going on. So that was good news. You know, again, I didn't expect to have the same kind of fuel economy in the 20 truck, especially with that one having the 10 speed and this one being modified. But you know, it's decent for a diesel truck, and honestly, the power feels great. The tires and stuff feel great. This is a real comfortable truck going down the road, even if I don't have the adaptive cruise and stuff like that because of that front bumper. So now for real, now that we're fueled up, let's go ahead and hit the road. Hello, St. Louis. One of my favorite cities. Find the arch up here. Yeah, there it is. Just starting to peek out a little bit there. There's the aquarium Union Station. This is another city I wish I could spend more time at. I usually just stop and check out the yards, but not today. Alright, so in other news, suddenly we're getting really good fuel economy, and I'm guessing just really good diesel. That's all I can figure. Look at that, we were doing like 15 miles per gallon for hundreds of miles, and now we fill up at a small gas station in the middle of nowhere, and now we're getting 17 miles a gallon. That seems shocking to me, so we'll just have to keep driving. You can see we've probably maybe only gone like 30 miles or something like that, or 40 miles maybe since the fill up. So we'll have to add maybe another 200 or 300 on there before we really see if that number stays high. Knoxville, I-40. All right, so it's right about midnight for me, but here in Knoxville it is 1 a.m. and it seems kind of weird to stop only a couple hours away from home, but honestly I've been up at like past 2 a.m. Almost every night the last few days on this drive. This needs to go back to the dealership during the work time anyway, so I figured, you know, since it's midnight for me, based on the time zone I woke up in this morning, I could kind of maybe just get some sleep tonight, get up in the morning time, take this back to the dealership where my own personal car is parked, get this in processed, you know, get all my paperwork done, do a couple things for a couple more customers, and then I can head back to the house and kind of get unpacked and get settled. So yeah, next stop will be back at the dealership in the morning time. All right, after a nice relaxing stay right here in Knoxville, it's time to get back on the road and head back to the dealership. All right, fuel economy update. So as you can see, we've got a lot more fuel used on this tank, and we've settled right back down to that 15 miles per gallon. Right now it says 14.8. In a minute it could say 14. Yeah, I was gonna say, there we go. It's pretty much been right at this 15. It's been just a hair above or a hair below, and I've been checking my receipts every time I fill up, and look at this. But I've been checking my receipts on every fill up, and they've been lining up with exactly what's on the dashboard here. So for the 2017 Platinum truck with the exhaust mods and the extra compound turbo, we're still getting right at 15 miles per gallon. Check this out. I was only on I-40 for maybe 5 or 10 miles, if that, and I guess due to construction or something like that, it said it was faster to take Highway 11 and Highway 70, which I didn't even know Highway 70 ran out through here. I could literally stay on this road and it would very slowly get me all the way into Asheville, because it runs basically east to west. So that's kind of neat. I didn't know you could kind of go this way, but even though I'm only on here for a few miles or a few minutes, it's gorgeous countryside through here. I'm just so used to just hanging on I-40 the whole way in, so this is kind of a nice change of scenery. All right, so what are my final thoughts driving the 2017 Platinum truck, especially right after driving the 2020 Limited truck for the 2 days before jumping into this one? Honestly, I really like them both. Now, I think, a little partial to this specific truck, the 2017, just because of the modifications that the previous owner did. Even though it gets kind of terrible fuel economy, I mean, that's not really why you buy these trucks anyway, but the power has been really smooth. It kind of makes up for the fact that this has a 6-speed versus a 10-speed, but I like the way it feels. You know, me being a car guy, I like the turbo noises that you get through the hood, although I'll be honest, it's not like too crazy in your face or anything like that. I also like the kind of different tire setup on this truck and the bumper. Now, stock for stock, I like them both pretty even. You know, functional differences between the Platinum and the Limited are pretty much nothing. You know, mechanically and driving styles, they're pretty much the same truck. The only real difference is you've got like the more higher end stereo. You know, you've also got the higher end interior with the two-tone leather seats and stuff like that. You know, of course, you've got a very different exterior with the huge badge across the back of the tailgate, as well as the paint matched mirrors and the different grille and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a sharp looking truck. I mean, you get different wheels. So honestly, between the Platinum and the Limited, it's mostly just appearance stuff. It's just kind of how it looks and how it feels. But how it actually drives and what you interface with as far as features, as far as, you know, the seats, as far as their adjustability and comfort, their stereo, pretty much everything is the same there. I don't think the Sony stereo in the Platinums is bad at all. I think it's actually really good. It's, for me, kind of a more traditional sound. It doesn't have the crazy hi-fi stereo effect, but being in this for a while, the bass is really strong in here. It's got good sound presence coming from all speakers. So, I mean, it's honestly a really solid stereo. I can honestly see why people love these trucks so much. I'm gonna have a really hard time turning the keys back into this truck. If I had the money, you know, this is way nicer than, you know, any vehicle that I've owned before, not to mention the Limited, which I will probably not be able to afford for a while. But honestly, both of these trucks are really nice. So for anybody who's made it to this point in the video, especially if you've watched the one prior to this, I just want to say thank you for kind of hanging with me. You know, making videos and, you know, kind of doing, you know, photography and stuff like that's a passion of mine, and I don't really get to do it as much as I'd like to. So this kind of keeps me fresh, and I'm hoping that I've been able to kind of have some fun with this road trip and share with you kind of what it's been like living in the truck and being on the road, especially by myself this time. I don't have a co-driver or anything like that. But if you've got any recommendations, if there's something that you liked, or if there's something that you didn't like with the video, or if you had a question about the truck or anything as far as the trip goes, feel free to hit me up in the comments. I love to hear from you guys and kind of get some, you know, recommendations and just kind of make this a group effort. So I think I'll go ahead and sign out here. We're probably not too far back from the dealership, so I'll go ahead and get things checked in. But again, thanks so much and have a great day. Well, hello there. Does your mom still tell you what to do? I love it. Wonder if that's Vaughn. Looks like it to me.